Hi, welcome to the Tournament Center. I'm Zac Hill, and I'm here with Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa of Team ChannelFireball. We're going to talk about it looks like a zoo deck that you guys are playing. That would be you, David Ochoa, Josh Utter-Leyton, and Luis Scott-Vargas.
Yep, the four of us.
Awesome. So tell us how you arrived at the deck. I mean, a lot of the time you expect you've got four of the best players in the world on the team. You're going to play something that counters spells, interacts with them, min-maxes marginal advantage. Instead, you decided to cast burn spells and attack.
Well, the problem is that the field is very narrow. There's only 16 people, 12 if you don't count us. And we have no idea what those people are going to play.
Sure.
And Modern now is all about fair decks or unfair decks.
Okay.
And there are not many decks that beat both. Like, you can't beat both. Either you're going to just get destroyed by the unfair decks, or you're going to get destroyed by the fair decks. So we decided that being proactive was the best.
Sure.
Because we didn't know what we were expecting. Rather than gamble on, say, thinking no one's going to play combo, so let's just play a deck that loses to combo, which could be the good choice.
Right.
Like, I have no idea if people are going to play combo or not. But we decided we just wanted to be proactive and do our thing.
Cool.
Like right now, for example, we don't have many cards against combo, but we can also kill on turn 4. So
right.
Like,
you have the combo of threats and burn spells.
Yeah.
A very powerful combo as well.
It's basically the go-to for like every modern season ever, that you just play this a lot, and if you don't find something that really stands out, you just end up playing Zoo. That's what we do every time. We've played Zoo. I've played Zoo for the past a lot of like modern extended events.
Yeah, it seems to have worked out well. So let's talk about some of the threats that you use to kill on turn 4, like you're talking about. I mean, I love all the cats. I've told you that. Easily my favorite part of the deck. You've got, in the 1-drop slot, you've got 4 Steppe Lynx, 4 Kird Ape, and 2 Loam Lion. Now, how did you arrive at wanting 4 Kird Ape and 2 Loam Lion and not 3 and 3 or 4 of one or the other?
Well, basically we went to 10 1-drops.
Sure.
Because we felt that was a good number to have. not gonna lie, I feel like we tested 100 games. You can never tell the difference between having 10 or 11.
Of course.
But we felt like 10 was good. And we had 4 Loam Lions at first.
Okay.
But then once we added Pridemages to the deck, we realized that the lands we wanted to get were Stomping Grounds and then Hallowed Fountain, because that casts Pridemage.
Right.
And also Lightning Helix on turn 2.
Really? Okay.
And if you're getting Stomping Grounds first, then you just rather have Kird Ape.
Right. You just would rather it be a 2/3 right away.
Yeah, because people play Flame Jab, for example. Loam Flame plays Flame Jab. People play Fork Bolt, Burst Lightning sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's just better to have it in play as a 2/3 as soon as possible.
Sure, and yet, but you still want 6 1-mana 2/3s.
Yeah, they're basically the same thing, but we have to choose one to play more of. I think the advantage of that is bigger than, for example, losing multiples to like Maelstrom Pulse.
Oh yeah.
Which is like the one downside of having 4/2 over 3/3.
Sure. Pretty incremental stuff on the whole. All right, so in your 2 slot, you've got 4 Tarmogoyf, 3 Snapcaster Mage, and 2 Qasali Pridemage. Now you mentioned you added Pridemage. What specific problems were you trying to solve with that card?
It's basically that we had too many cards we wanted to fit in the sideboard.
Okay.
Because we wanted answers to Threads of Disloyalty, Vedalken Shackles, Seismic Assault, Birthing Pod, but then we had too many sideboard cards. So we tried to figure out what we could put in the main deck to free some sideboard slots. And Pridemage ended up being the best of those cards, because it is a creature, and we want more creatures. That is why we play green instead of blue-eye-red.
Okay.
Because we felt like that deck was short on threats, had too much burn and like certain visions, which doesn't really do anything.
Oh yeah.
And so Pridemage was the card we chose to battle those problematic cards that might even come after sideboard, like Threads, but it's still a solid main deck card.
Yeah.
And it lets you, like now that we don't have Delver, Kitchen Finks is a bigger problem because it trades you for 2/3s.
Right.
And Pridemage lets your Kird Apes and Loam Lions get past Kitchen Finks. So.
And you brought up something interesting, which is that you said this deck actually didn't start out as a zoo deck and didn't have green at all.
Yeah, it started as the blue-white-red deck.
Okay.
That had just Delvers, Lynxes, Snapcasters, and Geists. But we felt that that was very threat-light. If people dealt with your first threat, you'd get a bunch of burn in your hand that wouldn't do anything. When they're at 15, it doesn't matter if you have 9 points of burn. It's the same as having nothing.
Sure.
And the deck just dirt around for too long. We thought. So we thought the solution for that was adding more burn.
Okay.
So we added Tribal Flames. So now even if they're at 15, you can actually kill them from 15. Because Tribal Flames is a lot of damage.
Right, cast it, Snapcaster Mage it back.
That's 10 damage already. Right. Just 2 cards. But in the end, we felt that we just wanted more creatures.
Okay.
And we played a lot against the Loam, which is a deck we think people are going to play, because we think it's pretty good. And we were not happy that we were losing all our creatures to Flame Jab and Pyroclasm.
That would be Delver of Secrets and Steppe Lynx.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we had to change to the green one drops. So not the green one drops, but
the ones that need.
Yes.
Ironically enough.
Yeah, and like since Pyroclasm is supposedly a big card, at least in our estimative, it's pretty good to be able to play a Kird Ape and then a Geist, which protects you from Liliana while at the same time not leaving you vulnerable to Pyroclasm.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, in the other deck, there's nothing that you can do that. Like either you run into Liliana or you run to Pyroclasm.
Right. You just have no options of how to play around
because all the creatures die to Pyroclasm.
Cool. So let's talk about the card you just mentioned, Geist of Saint Traft. It seems to be a pillar of the format. I mean, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's reacting around it. Why is this card so important?
It's just huge because, again, one of the big problems with the deck is just they kill all your threats and your burn becomes useless, and that's a threat they can't kill.
Okay.
So some decks just die to death. Like you play it, you kill all the creatures, have 16 removal spells and 3 Snapcasters. So it just, 6 damage a turn is a lot.
Yeah.
So it can kill people by itself. Like you don't need anything else.
And even though you don't need anything else, it does. I mean, you've got 4 lightning bolts, 4 helixes, 4 tribal flames that can hit from the full 5. I mean, how often do you find yourself just burning people out?
Very often. And like Geist does that too. You can just attack, suicide it, but it deals 4 damage. And if you have multiples, it's also going to deal, like each one is going to do 4 damage.
Right.
And it's also not bad in a defensive position.
Okay.
Because it threatens so much damage that sometimes they have to wait. Like if they have 2 Kird Apes, for example, and you have a Geist, they can't really attack with one. Because if they do, you burn their Kird Ape and you attack for 6.
Yeah.
So just by being there, it makes them leave both their Kird Apes untapped.
They have to respect the 6 damage.
Yeah, it is very threatening.
Sure. Okay. So we've got all the spells. Your main your mana base is Scalding Tarn, 1 Marsh Flats, Misties, Arid Mesas, and then the suite of dual lands. Basically, what defines modern sack lands into dual lands. I want to spend some time to talk about your sideboard. You've got 4 Relic of Progenitus here. Is that because you respected the Life from the Loam decks?
It's not just Life from the Loam decks. It's pretty good. Well, it's pretty good against Loam. It's pretty good against a variety of combo decks like Pyromancer's Ascension, the second Sunrise deck.
Oh, sure.
Which are just decks that we might play against.
And you want to make sure you have something.
Yeah, and we think this is the best card to have of those something.
Cool. All right, I see 2 Lingering Souls, which take advantage of the fact that you need black for Tribal Flames anyway. What's that card for?
Well, it's basically a package. It's 2 Lingering Souls, an Elspeth, and a card that I don't have right now. It's going to be a Thrun.
Just envision the Thrun in the
Thrun,
sleep.
the last draw.
Okay.
It's basically, there are many decks that are bringing additional disruption. Like Junk decks, for example, have a ton of removal. And again, the problem is that you want your burn to be able to finish that off. But for that, you need threats.
Okay.
So the idea is that you take out some of the burn, which is not going to be very good anyway, and you try to deal more damage with creatures. And for that, like those are the creatures that we found that are most resilient to spot removal. Or even just removal in general, like Pyroclasm and stuff is still not bad.
You just want something to sit on the board and deal damage.
Yeah, it's a threat. Like in the mirror, for example, with everything trades, then Lingering Souls is a huge card.
Right.
Even like the 2 tokens, they're going to stay there for a long time. They're going to deal like 10 damage if they don't get answered.
Right, and you don't want to lightning bolt tokens.
Yeah, and if you do it, there's 4 of them. And there's like, it's not like there's a 2/2 blocker. Like Delver is going to die.
Sure.
So they have to deal with those tokens, and there's 4 of them to deal with.
Yeah, and Elspeth's another part of that plan, I guess.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. It helps that Elspeth is better against green decks with defensive guys, because you can jump your guys, especially Geist.
Yeah, right.
But it's basically the same idea of having a threat that is resilient to disruption, to like spot removal and even mass removal.
All right, and speaking of disruption, we've got 2 Mana Leak. Now, these are your only 2 counter spells, but do you just want some way to disrupt them other than creature removal? What are these for? Yeah,
they're basically for blue-white, low-on combo decks. They're very generic. They could be main deck in a different scenario over the Pridemages. That would not surprise me if that was ideal.
Sure.
They're just a catch-all answer. Like they're a card that people generally don't respect. They can't afford to.
Well, yeah, they can't sit and just wait till they have extra mana. You're just going to kill them first.
Yeah. And we thought this was the best counter spell. For a while, we had Spell Pierce, Negate, even Dispel. But we feel like we wanted to bring it in against decks that also have Tarmogoyfs and Restoration Angels and Kitchen Sphinxes. So we felt like this was the best choice for a counter spell.
It's not just for non-creature spells. Now, Pyroclasm, obviously, you can mop up Winnie's. Oblivion Ring, a nice versatile answer. Really quick, what are these last 2 cards?
We don't know yet. They're either going to be Shatterstorms, which is the best card against Affinity.
Literal Shatterstorm, 4 mana?
Yeah, it kills Zac Champion, which is the only card we worry about.
Really?
I don't think you can lose if they don't draw. Especially have Pyroclasm, Etch Champion, but you do lose to Etch Champion a lot. And that's the only card that kills it.
Okay.
Or it's going to be something else narrow, like Grafdigger's Cage, maybe Green Lava Monster against pod decks. We don't really know yet. We have to decide what we think we're going to face. We're going to do that in this next half hour, and then just make those two last.
All right, so just a surgical answer to some pillar of the format.
Yes.
Anyway, that's team. Sorry, it's
no. It'd be just a very direct answer to something, not a generic card.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa with Team ChannelFireball, again representing David Ochoa, Josh Utter-Leyton, and Luis Scott-Vargas. Got to be some of the favorites coming into the tournament. All four playing this 5-color zoo aggro deck based around tribal flames and creatures, just playing a clock, sending some burn to the face. I'm Zac Hill. That's the Tournament Center for the Players' Championship, and stay tuned to watch some more Magic.